What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction, and in this one, we have the one difference in Australian culture that makes all the difference. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, so that what that difference is.
When I took my first trip to Australia last year, I was literally shocked by every aspect of life in Australia. As people always tell me that there's no place like Australia, and frankly, I never knew what it meant until now. So today, I'm going to share with you the one difference about Australia that nobody talks about, but makes all the difference, as well as my biggest culture shock as an American in Australia for the very first time.
And it's definitely not what you think, so let's jump into the video right now.
Let's do
And
it.
I'll break down every aspect of Australia that makes the people and the place special, and at the end, you'll finally find out what that one true difference is. And the first thing is actually the one thing that all the other nations are doing wrong, but Australia somehow managed to make it work, and that is they'll adjust your national food to fit the locals so you can eat anywhere with food from all over the world. In Australia, you will get the utmost authentic taste, which I never seen it done in any nation. And this is coming from someone who traveled the world only to be surprised by how the best Indian, Japanese, and Chinese food can actually be found in Australia. When I came to Brisbane for the first time, I asked the locals, where do I find the best local food? And they literally told me to eat anywhere I want because of this very reason. And that also means that after your trip to Australia, your taste for good food might be permanently increased, and you might enjoy the food outside of Australia a lot less, so that could be a downside.
And from all the comments that I'm reading, the only problem that the locals are having would be Mexican food, with many complaining they hardly taste like the one in Mexico or America, even though the owners are Mexican, but everything else is good.
But what is even better than
Dang, looking at all that food, it does look so good. And it looks like they do keep it authentic. Like that food looked amazing when I saw those plates. I just want to dive through the screen. Ah, yeah, I'm getting hungry.
And that is the next thing on the list, and the perfect time to subscribe to this channel if you love the video so far, because you're all my fellow mates, and that is the next one we're going to talk about. The mateship and the sense of community only found in Australia. Because when I first got here, I was surprised to be called a mate left and right, because back in America, people rarely call one another anything unless you're a good friend. But after a few weeks, I got used to it and will totally miss it when going back to America. Because there's a real sense of equality between everyone, and if you're willing to be humble, be funny from time to time, and make friends, they will want to be your friends and even help you when you need it. And last but not least, Australia is one of the only places where you can sit in the front seat of the taxi without being awkward. I never tried that,
Yeah.
but feel free to do it yourself.
There's a famous saying
I feel
in
like it wouldn't be awkward in Australia. I feel like that would be so right because I just feel like Aussies are so like laid back and chill and cool. Like it would just be like you're getting in a mate's car, and so you'd be straight. But yeah, I mean yeah, but yeah, in other countries, yeah, I'm definitely not even in the front seat. Getting in the back.
Australia that says we don't care what you do or who you are, but if you're being egotistical, nobody will tolerate that, because everyone is just as good as anyone else.
But the next one is kind of one some of you might have a problem with, and that is the laid-back attitude and everyone being chilled in Australia. Now, why did I say that some of you may not like this? Because if you're used to the hustle culture and always being busy even if you don't have to, like the way we live in America where everyone you know is always working and nobody has time for their family, you will find this relaxed, enjoying every moment of life, and going to the beach for a walk kind of culture to be inefficient and for some of you, maybe a waste of time. But this is why so many people love Australia, because it's okay to relax and slow down, it's okay to not do anything in particular during weekends and holidays, and it's okay to enjoy living your life. And if there's one thing I hope Americans can learn from Australia, then this one would be on the top of my list.
Also, maybe it's because of this one reason. Australia is safer than even the safest countries like Japan, in my personal opinion, with many of my Australian friends saying they forgot to lock the door multiple times, but no one ever broke in, which sadly I can never say the same for America.
But what I can also never say the same about America is the next one on the list, and that is the way Aussies love and care for their environment. Since going outdoors is such an essential part of Australian culture, it makes sense for there to be a level of care for the nature. For example, in other coastal cities in, let's say, Vietnam and Malaysia, it's quite
It's just all the pictures you showed in Australia is absolutely gorgeous. The nature and wildlife in Australia is different to me because I always say I feel like Australia is paradise for wildlife because I feel like in Australia, like you have so much space that hasn't been touched by humans, and where I feel like animals can thrive. And I feel like the animals be thriving because they in Australia they be big, they be bigger, they be stronger, they be more poisonous, they be scarier, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Common to see rubbish all over the beach, but in Australia, that's rarely the case. And
Mm.
also, the wildlife you see is kind of doing their own thing because the locals know what to and not to do. A recent survey even found that more Australians want actions to protect the nature than ever before because everyone relies on the nature for clean water and air and the sweet tourist money. But I still see some tourists tossing away rubbish on the streets,
Oh
and hopefully, if
wow!
you're watching this, you can stop doing that from now on.
This may sound like a joke, but remember when you go to a supermarket like Costco, they would give you a really long receipt? One time a guy dropped his receipt and it got blown away by the wind, and he literally apologized to everyone because he thought he was littering.
But you all know how windy it can get, and I'm sure he's forgiven because of the next thing on the list, and that is love, especially the love Aussies have for their nation. And you might think to yourself, isn't that just patriotism? Like the same one you see in America or many Southeast Asian countries where they sing the national anthem every day, talk about how they're the best in the world and look down on the rest of the world, etc. Well, I used to think that too before coming to Australia, but turns out it's more like a pride and love for Australia and how lucky they are to live here instead of a blind, almost religious kind of patriotism like the ones back in America. Aussies love their nation in a realistic way. They know how good they are in many aspects and how many things still need improvement, like the housing market and cost of living in general. And they will also criticize Australia when it's needed. Hey, actually, the ones who are super critical about Australia all turned out to be Aussies because they know the love for your nation, and pretending that your nation can never do anything wrong is not the same thing.
So what Australia proved to me and many fellow Americans is that what we believe to be patriotic in America is actually nationalism in the eyes of non-Americans. And there is a better way to love our nation without putting the flag as a tattoo somewhere on our body.
But after everything I've said so far, did you find out the one difference in Australian culture that makes all the difference? Because I made it so obvious, you probably know the answer
I
to
feel
it.
like I do feel like Aussies definitely love their community, and definitely will go above and beyond for each other. And I feel like I said, they're just very chill and laid back and like friendly. And it doesn't seem like I've seen many videos where Aussies are just like being mean for no reason or just maybe try to talk to them and they just snapping at you. No, like really cool people. So I'm not surprised all the love.
Already. And that is all of the lovely Aussies. They are the true reason why people are willing to fly for days to visit Australia because there's no place like Australia. Which is even more insane if you consider that when Australia was founded, the British sent a bunch of prisoners and convicts over here to help grow the colony. So my Aussie friends always love to joke about how Australia somehow went from being founded by criminals to the nicest bunch of people in the world. Now, I don't know how historically accurate that is. Their word, not mine. Feel free to tell me in the comments what happened in Australian history. And apart from that, Australia is one of those few places where you can still be friends with someone even though you have different political beliefs, and occasionally you would have disagreements, but you would still be friends at the end of the day. And with how many of my American friends literally stopped being friends after decades of being the best friend over some religious and political dispute, I'm just glad to see that at least the same thing isn't happening to my Aussie friends.
That's what I think everyone, especially Americans, can learn from Australia. And let me know what you think in the comments, whether you're from here or not. But before you come here, you need to know the worst tourist mistakes that people are literally making all the time. And you can click on the video right now.
That's all we got for this vid. Y'all talk to me in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about that one. I feel like Aussie is definitely just an incredible country full of incredible people. And it's a country I definitely hope I get the opportunity to visit one day. I'm praying, fingers crossed. That's all we have. If you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, check out the next, and I'll see y'all next time.